Hello, hope you're well. I'm afraid I caught Dr. Plantinga and Dr. Craig in a bit of a careless thinking. It involves Dr. Plantinga's quote-unquote argument for the existence of God from the conflict between naturalism and evolution, which Dr. Craig supports. Let's hear how he describes it.
If naturalism is true, then our cognitive faculties are the product of an evolutionary process which is not aimed at the production of true beliefs, but rather aimed at beliefs that help you to survive.
Now suppose we think about not ourselves, but about creatures on some alien planet that are a lot like us, maybe a planet revolving around Arcturus. So these creatures, let's suppose that for them naturalism holds. As things stand for them, naturalism is true. And also that evolution holds, and also these people then are material objects. These beings, creatures, are material objects.
So you understand, this is philosophical thinking. This is a thought experiment. In this experiment, this is the situation. The world is natural. Naturalism is true. You have the physical forces, you have what science teaches us, the forming of stars, dying of stars, the forming of the earth, the arising of life, and then evolution. In this world, in this thought experiment, there is no supernatural reality. There are no supernatural beings, no God, no demons or angels. So, in this world, in evolution, your cognitive faculties may not lead to necessarily true beliefs. It is possible that what you believe may be wrong, may be false, because only your actions that are conducive to survival and procreation matter. The truth or falsity of your belief does not matter. That's what they say. That is the argument.
So behavior is caused by their neurology and also their beliefs, what they believe and the content of their beliefs, that's also caused by their neurology. Now, given that evolution is true, that these creatures have come to be by virtue of natural selection, winnowing, some form of genetic variation, we can take it for granted that their behavior is adaptive. It enhances their fitness. It leads to survival and reproduction. And if that's true, then the same thing will go for what causes their behavior, namely their neurology. We can think of that too as being adaptive, causing the right kind of behavior, therefore being such as to promote survival and reproduction. Now, the neurology that causes their beliefs, that causes their behavior, also causes their beliefs. And now the question is, okay, suppose their behavior and their neurology is in fact adaptive. What about their beliefs? What about the truth of these beliefs? Well, I think you can see that it doesn't matter about the truth of these beliefs. If the neurology causes the right behavior, the adaptive behavior, what they believe makes no difference.
So, if you believe that naturalism is true, remember in this situation where naturalism is true, actually your belief is correct because naturalism is true. But, they say, because you have studied evolution and you know that some of your beliefs may not be right, may not be true, then you may doubt that your belief that naturalism is true is correct. So you may form a belief that the fact that you believed that naturalism is true is false. But then this belief itself will be false because in the thought experiment naturalism is true and everything develops, evolves according to natural laws. We have to add that in this thought experiment any belief might be false as well as the belief that naturalism is true, which then would be false because you have naturalism. These beliefs include religious beliefs, belief in Christianity, belief in astrology, and some other religious beliefs. They might very well be false, because that is how the natural evolution of beings, of human beings, shapes them. But if you believe that naturalism is true, actually it is true, because in the thought experiment, naturalism is true. That's from where you start. So, actually, this is not an argument against naturalism, it is an argument for naturalism and against the truth of Christian belief.
I think that's a very powerful argument that is very much in discussion today.
Let's look now at the opposite scenario. Naturalism is not true. There is a supernatural reality, there is a supernatural being, God, who has created everything and people. He has given them cognitive faculties, but they became defective after the fall, and with sin they become more and more defective. That means that you can have false beliefs. But the defectiveness of the cognitive faculties doesn't mean that you can't lead a normal life and survive and leave descendants. No, it involves only that part of the cognitive faculties that lead to the belief in God, which are connected in some way to God. They can be defective, and then you lack a belief in God. Apparently those are only atheists. So, and Christians, because they still have that portion of their cognitive faculties healthy, right, correct, they do have the right belief that God created them. So that leaves only atheists with defective cognitive faculties, a portion of them, and with wrong beliefs.
If you don't believe in God, or if you are a naturalist and you also accept evolution, then you've got a reason not to think your faculties are reliable. Given the Christian story, it's unlikely that our cognitive faculties are reliable because of the damage, the noetic damage due to sin, the noetic consequences of sin, or the damage done to our cognitive faculties by sin. But Christians have always thought about this as concentrated with respect to knowledge of God, and perhaps also knowledge of one's own inner condition. So that it's not, no Christians have suggested that as a result of that, people don't know where they live, or how old they are, or how to get from one place to another, or how to walk, or anything like that. Not at all, just with respect to knowledge of God, and what God requires of us, and what God wants from us. So the thought would then be, Richard's thought would be that human cognitive faculties in general aren't reliable on that point, but that's no problem from the Christian perspective. The Christian perspective is that there is that sort of damage, but it is progressively done away with, progressively restored by virtue of sanctification, by virtue of the Christian life and walking in the Christian life as a result of conversion. Our world is in many ways a fallen world. There are diseases. There are cognitive deficiencies of various kinds, and I'm inclined to think not believing in God is one of those. I mean, the natural human condition would be, as Calvin says, Calvin speaks of a sense of divinity, a sensus divinitatis, would be to believe in God in a totally wholehearted, implicit fashion. But due to the same sorts of things to which diseases are due ultimately, says Calvin, and I agree with him, due to the entrance of sin into the world, sometimes our cognitive faculties, in particular those having to do with God and other people, don't function the way they should.
I take this as an offense. Bye.